Hello again. I just thought I'd share some thoughts on an excellent few days I had last week when I had the opportunity of trying the Rega RX3 speakers here in my music room at home. And those that might have seen some of my more recent videos will know that I've been looking for a pair of floor standing speakers for this room. And recently I went down to my local audio tea, and I listened to a pair of Rega RX3 speakers there, and I was really very impressed with what I heard. So I was delighted to have the opportunity to bring those speakers home and see how those speakers went here in this listening room of mine. And because I've never had a pair of floor standing speakers before, I've always had like stand mount speakers, so I was curious as to how well those speakers would sound in this room, and how well they would interact with my system as well as the room. So yeah, the room itself is around about 13 foot by around about 14 foot. The ceiling is quite high. All the four walls are solid. There's no plasterboard. The floor as well is it's a bungalow, so and I've got a solid block wooden floor in this room, and in that wall there's quite a big window, so that gives you an idea of like the room and the dimensions and the construction of the room and so forth. Anyway, I brought the speakers home, and I thought about the positioning of them and how I'd get them set up, and I thought straight off what I'll do, I'll position them in the identical position that I've been using stand mount speakers in previously. So typically these speakers were positioned around about 13 inches from the back wall, approximately 7 foot apart, therefore allowing around about 2.5 foot to the side walls. And I also, which is a really good feature with those speakers, it does have a side drive-in speaker as well, and so there is, I think, great versatility to be able to either have the speakers positioned so the driver is facing outwards to the side walls, or alternatively facing inwards towards one another. But you'll see in one of my recent videos where I show those speakers here in this room that I actually had them on the outside, therefore pointing towards the side walls. And I also had them slightly towed into my listening position as well, in the same way as I had my stand mount speakers. Well, at that point I was quite excited to want to try and play some music and to see how well these speakers went in this room. So yeah, first off, the first thing I played was a CD that or music then was, which I first heard on those speakers, which is this CD which I took down and heard in the demo room in Audio T, and this is the Pretenders' I Love You, and it's a really well recorded music. This I'm very familiar with this recording. It's a live semi-acoustic recording of some of the band's most famous hits and songs, and yeah, there's a couple of bassy tracks on here, but very well recorded bass. So I played those tracks on my CD player with the RX3s in position, and wow, the control that it had on the bass was really very special. It was exactly what I was looking for in terms of delivering a very tuneful bass, which made it very easy for me to actually follow the bass lines and the melodic bass structure then that was part of the songs. And yeah, I spoke about I wanted to hear the leading edge of notes on some recordings, which are just that extra bit of detail, and yeah, it delivered that no problem at all. It was just really very well delivered bass, just how I like it to sound, and it just sounded very natural, really. You know, you could hear the quality of the playing and the quality of the instruments, whether I mean, on lots of recordings I've got and I tried, whether flat wound strings were being used, whether a pick was being used, whether round wound strings and so forth. So all those little details were very clear for me to pick out in the recordings. Yeah, that I definitely started off on the right note for me anyway. I played some vinyl then. It's the first vinyl I played, and it's Booker T. Jones. The album's called Try and Love Again. It's a fantastic album. I'm really fond of this record. There's a really good rendition on here of Knocking on Heaven's Door, and you know, playing this and some of the other records as well, I just began to realise how good the main mid-range sounded as well. And that the mid-range is something I think is really important to get right with sound. And I'm used to having very good mid-range sound because I've used good stand mount speakers in the past, and they've delivered. That was one of the qualities of those speakers that I've been using, that shine through. And yeah, you know, the Rega RX3s definitely excelled in that area as well. So yeah, he began to tick all the right boxes for me in terms of like the qualities that I was looking for in a pair of speakers. And you know, I moved on. I played this album by John Martin, Solid Air. Absolutely superb recorded, upright bass in here, and great vocalist, and some fantastic acoustic guitar work and so forth. And I played this album, Al Green, Let's Stay Together, and you know, it went on from there really. You know, I played this album by this is a CD by Radiohead, Kid A, and yeah, you know, it just became quite apparent really. That's Can. But one of the things that was starting I was beginning to understand was there seemed to be a greater scale in what I was hearing, and I think that helped with me being able to place performers and instruments and in what I was hearing in the space that was in front of me, which was where the music was coming from. And the speakers at no point drew attention to themselves. It was just obviously producing the music, but from like a space in front of me, which was quite dimensional. You know, there's width to it and there was depth to it as well. And you know, I think that was really very impressive, you know. And yeah, I played lots of stuff, to be honest. You know, Sun Ra, gosh, I played some big band jazz, and you know, quite you know, demanding music really to you know, to be able to hear correctly, and it just delivered it really very well indeed. And yeah, I mean, you know, it comes as no surprise. I was very impressed with those speakers. So yeah, I went down and placed an order for a pair. So hoping to be able to receive them soon. So yeah, I mean, overall the whole experience of looking for a pair of speakers has been really good. I've really enjoyed it, and I mean, first and foremost, you know, music is my passion, and that's what I really like is buying vinyl records and collecting some vinyl, and buying CDs, because there's some really great recordings as well on CDs, and picked up a lot of CDs recently for quite cheap as well, and some recordings which I've always wanted to hear. But I've sort of began to learn, like over the years, having had hi-fi for over 30 years now, that the upgrades that I've made on the way have helped me to enjoy my music a lot more. So yeah, it's all been very interesting indeed. I hope this video has been interesting as well. So yeah, that's all for now. I'll probably do another video when I have those speakers, so I'm looking forward to that now. So for the meantime, thanks again for watching the video. Bye bye.